Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Ion Port. It is always proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Goyle Company Limited, Serene Insurance, as well as West Blue Consulting, the Ghana Community Network Services, that is GCNet. The proud media partner for this program is the Business and Financial Times. So like I'll always remind you, always continue to get your copy of the Business and Financial Times, and I assure you that you'll be reading a lot more about the maritime industry, particularly what transpires on this platform. Also, the schedules of the vessels that bring your goods into the port are always in the Business and Financial Times, even though we also bring them on the screens for you. The Ghana Web as well is a partner, and tomorrow at 8:30 p.m., if you tune in to GH1, you would be watching the abridged version of what would transpire here. On Wednesday at 8:30 p.m., if you tune into Ghana Television, you should be watching the abridged version of what should be transpiring here. Folks, this week, it's been COVID everywhere, COVID all the time. This week, we're going to celebrate some group of people, and we call them the frontline health workers who are helping us prevent the importation of COVID into this country via the ports, the sea, the frontiers. And also they are helping us to prevent the spread. Assume we even ever get some that are imported, they help us to prevent the spread of it. And they are taking care of everything, working very hard, day in and day out. Sometimes I'm sure you don't even recognize them when you see them. These are the folks that we are going to celebrate today. In the meantime, quite important information have been put out there. The Ghana Revenue Authority has a very important information regarding the 50% benchmark value that we were all enjoying on general goods, as well as a 30% reduction in the values of cars that were imported into this country. We had some few news around this. We'll be seeking clarification from men who take decisions around the Ghana Revenue Authority. We'll return pretty shortly, and I'll let you know the very strong men and women that I have in the studio. We'll be back shortly.
Here's innovation from Goyle that takes you further. New Gold Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and Goyle has innovated to stay ahead. Expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New Goyle Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. Goyle. Good energy.
Dear valued client, the Ghana Trade Hub mobile app is now live to make it easy to track your consignment and know the estimated duty payable for both general goods and used vehicles. We are pleased to inform you that the Ghana Trade Hub mobile app is available for download on Google Play Store for Android users and the App Store for Apple users. The Ghana Trading Hub mobile app is now live. Download and never be cheated. This is powered by the Smart Ports project under the auspices of the Government of Ghana and the Ghana Revenue Authority. Smart Port, improving Ghana's ease of doing business.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water, or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Oh, how are you?
Hi Yvonne, a few words please. Everyone is talking about the fire at your production house last week. How are you holding up? Has production stalled?
No, not at all. My crew and everyone on my set is perfectly fine because I insure with Serene Insurance. As a matter of fact, I've had all my equipment replaced, including the vehicles that were affected. My workers have been sorted out. Even my production downtime has been covered. So it's all good. I have a meeting to attend to, so I have to get going. Sorry about that.
Which insurance company did you mention?
Serene Insurance, the new face of insurance, a member of First Sky Group.
Welcome back from the break. This is Eye on Port, and as you saw earlier, it's brought to you by all those organizations as well as companies that are making the program very possible. This week, we're taking a look at the fight against COVID-19 in this country, but we're focusing a lot more at the ports area, and we're celebrating the frontline health workers who have helped us so far preventing the importation of COVID-19 into this country via the ports of our country, and also preventing the spread and working so hard to ensure that at least what happened somewhere around 101 years ago, that is 1819, where the ports were used as conduits, at least that's what history is telling us, through shipping to import a lot of the Spanish flu that we saw around that time that killed about 100,000 Ghanaians, as WHO is reporting. We are not seeing that today, and we have to be thankful to these men and women. Let me just introduce them before I move to my first item on the list. How's that, Gideon? Look, this one I'm going to beg that because I'm the one going to do the talking, I'll just take off my mask and for people to see your face, because the purpose is also to celebrate you as well. So we'll just see your face more. No talking, so we're not spreading anything. I'm not spreading anything. Dr. Vitus Victor Anabisi is the General Manager, Health Services, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Doctor, it's always a pleasure to have you in the studio. Good to see you again.
My pleasure, Sam.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
And Mr. Gideon LAMPTEY'S is a Consultant Medical Laboratory Scientist, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Gidi, good to see you. Regina Efua Tedeku is a Fellow of West African College of Nursing. That's you are? Yes. That's a big one. That's Regina. Yes. And she's also a nursing officer with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us in the studio. And we have always been appreciative of what you do at the GPHA clinic there. So I'll talk to you about where they are working and who they are and all of that. In the meantime, in the course of the week, excuse me. Okay. I know that I'll get a lot of queries from the doctors because of the way I wore the mask. But in the course of the week, we heard a lot about these benchmark values that were introduced by the Finance Ministry or the Ghana Revenue Authority to reduce general goods by 50%. That's when you import general goods into the country. And also to reduce the home delivery values of cars when you imported them into the country by 30%. There were some letters running around saying that those were going to be suspended. We were now going to be paying fully for the general goods as well as the cars. So essentially, what they were saying is that we're scrapping that 50% benchmark value as well as the 30% benchmark values on some items and some goods. But later on, we got another letter coming from the Ghana Revenue Authority that says, indeed, that wasn't true, and that's been suspended. I'll read that letter quickly and we'll speak to authorities from the Ghana Revenue Authority. The attention of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has been drawn to a letter making the rounds in the media on the benchmark value reduction policy, the discount policy in this case. The GRA wishes to state as follows. 1, that the benchmark value policy, discount policy, continues to be implemented as originally announced by His Excellency the Vice President Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia. 2, that the said document with a list of items at both the heading and the subheading levels of the HS code is an internal document analyzing the impact of the discount policy on our revenue, that's the Ghana Revenue Authority's collection with regards to those items, as well as the impact on local industries, public health, safety, and the environment. 3, the internal analysis was not approved by that or by the central government, and is thus inapplicable. The Ghana Revenue Authority appreciates the support and cooperation enjoyed from the trading public and other stakeholders over the years, and urges them to continue to assist the authority in its effort at mobilizing revenue for national development. And this was signed by the Commissioner General, for the Commissioner General, by the Assistant Commissioner, Communications and Public Affairs, Madame Florence Asante. So we're going to speak to authorities from GRA on the line. I guess we should have the Sector Commander for TEMA collection, Mr. Eduche. Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Mr. Eduche,
Yes.
If you can give us a fair account of the situation, benchmark value reduction, do we still have it or not?
Right. Looking at our command general, it should cascade to the Commissioner of Customs, who would then issue a directive to all the sectors that this should be applied. But in this case, we don't know how it got to the media. Once the messenger is not there.
Hello, Mr. Eduche. Hello. Okay, we're going to have the techies fix the lines and quickly get Mr. Eduche back on the line. But what we're seeking to find out is whether the earlier letter that was running around saying that the benchmark values that we were enjoying, that's 50% on general goods as well as 30% on home delivery values of cars, are no longer going to be applicable. We've got another letter coming from the Office of the Commissioner General again saying that we should disregard that earlier letter because it was purported to be an internal sort of discourse, and it didn't even get the approval from the central government, that's Ministry of Finance and Government as well. So probably we should disregard that. Let me see if we have Mr. Eduche on the line. Hello, Mr. Eduche.
Yes.
Okay, so you are clear on now. You were saying that which of the letters are you talking about that found its way into the media and it shouldn't have?
The supposedly the removal of the benchmark values.
Okay, that's the first one that circulated, saying that it's no longer applicable.
Yes.
Okay.
It is not going to be applicable because it has not been communicated to all the sector commanders.
Okay. So essentially, you're saying that the benchmark, 50% benchmark value for general goods and the 30% HDV on cars is still applicable?
Yes. They are still applicable.
So today, if anybody has to clear a car out of the port, they still would not pay 30% of the value of the car?
I'm saying that communique did not come from Commissioner of Customs. If it is coming from Commissioner General, it must come to the Commissioner of Customs. And once it's not there, we are not going to apply it. The 50% benchmark, the 50% reduction, and then the 30% reduction still apply.
Okay. I think that's clear enough, even though I was going to push you further to say that this current letter that's already been sent to the media and that's addressed to the media, coming from the Commissioner General's office, signed on his behalf by Florence Asante, the Assistant Commissioner of Communications and Public Affairs, whether that has come to your notice and that the public can make do with this particular document.
And as I said, it has not come to the sector commanders. I have not got a copy. And so I'm surprised that it is on the media. And then if anything is on is in the if anything is in the media and it has not been communicated to us, it is null and void.
Okay. Okay, understood. So for you, we can still clear our general goods 50% off. That's the benchmark value. And then the cars 30% off.
Yes.
Thank you.
That is what I knew.
Thank you very much, Assistant Commissioner. So this was very important. We thank you. We appreciate the time. This was very important to clarify, Doctor, because I got a lot of calls from people saying that, oh, my agent said that I should, the 30% is no longer applicable. And is that true or not? So we really wanted to clarify this whole issue. So now you can still clear your car. That 30% is off. Now, back to our main subject for today, celebrating the frontline workers. But, Doc, let me find out from you. The last time you were here, you've been here about 3 times. This year, you have been here early part of the year. We talked about COVID. At that time, we didn't have any COVID case in this country.
That's right.
Today, we have quite a number. If you can update us what the situation is as far as COVID-19 or coronavirus.
All right. Thank you very much, Sami. It's always a pleasure to be here and to have a little discourse with you and your team. Yes, indeed. We know that the first case was reported sometime in March. I think precisely on the 12th of March, 2020. That's when we had the announcement of the first 2 cases in our country. Since then, government had put a lot of things in place, trying to prevent a lot more cases from coming. We were looking at imported cases at that time, that there were no in-country cases. In other words, there were no community transmission. We're looking at people who have traveled and coming back with the virus. So government did all that they had to do to stop or to minimize the impact of that happening. Eventually, as we're all aware, virus as it is, and it's a pandemic, once it came into the country, depending upon the R0, which is the reproductive number of the virus, definitely it will spread. No matter whatever condition you put in place. The condition can only probably reduce or minimize, but it cannot prevent fully. So since March, we have had a steady increase of COVID-19 in the country, precisely in the community. And so now we are talking about community transmission. We are no more talking about imported cases. Because imported cases where the borders have been closed for some time now. I think we're getting to 2 months now when the borders have been closed. So obviously there are no imported cases. We're dealing with community transmission. People might sneak into the country through unapproved routes, but that is very minimal. I'm sorry, I'm speaking through the mask, so my voice might be a bit distant. But
you're fine, we can hear you clearly.
So indeed, as we speak today, as of yesterday or even today, we can say, we have a total of 5,735 cases, confirmed cases in Ghana.
Okay.
That is public knowledge. This is something that the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Information, have been putting across to Ghanaians to update us also about what actually is happening as far as COVID is concerned.
Okay.
Out of these 5,735 cases that are confirmed in Ghana, we know that we've got 29 deaths. That's mortalities.
Yeah.
Greater chunk of these confirmed cases, or the burden, is on Greater Accra region. That's Accra Tema. We constitute the largest part. I think it's even more than 3/4. We're looking at 4,314 cases for Greater Accra.
For Greater Accra alone?
For Greater Accra alone.
I see.
Yes. That's a big chunk.
Yeah.
Meaning that we are the hotspot or the epicenter of COVID-19 in Ghana. And so a lot of things have been going on. Government is doing its bit and is appealing to, to the general population to also do their bit so that together we can fight this pandemic. We know that, of course, in a pandemic like this, the fight is not for only one person. It's for all of us. Government will do its own, the health authorities will do their own, health professionals will do their own, and the general public is expected to do their part so that together we can minimize the impact or the devastating effect of this virus.
Yeah. You talked about the borders being closed, and so we are not seeing imported cases.
Yeah.
But we also know that the seaports, for instance, or cargo is moving. So the seaport, for instance, would be one of the few places where you would have vessels coming in, and these vessels are manned by foreign crew.
Correct.
So I would love for us to get into that terrain as soon as we let viewers see some bit of stories that highlight how COVID-19 is being handled at the ports right now, the role of the ports, the health workers who are within the port industry, and then we'll come back to take a look at some of the experiences. Some individuals who are sacrificing on a daily basis, getting onto vessels and trying to get samples of crew members and all of that coming into the country, tested and everything. So I'll come back to that bit.
That's right.
Because that, like I said, that's the only place that we are seeing vessels coming in. They're manned by foreign crew members.
Correct.
So let's take a look at how COVID-19 is being handled at Ghana's port.
Ever since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic in the latter part of 2019, many have related the global public health adversity to the Spanish flu, also known as the 1918 pandemic. History reports that the 1918 pandemic viral disease had strikingly similar symptoms to COVID-19 and nearly wiped the entire planet, killing over 50 million people, far more than people who died during the First World War, and claimed an estimated 100,000 lives in present-day Ghana. Reports indicate that the disease was introduced into the then Gold Coast by shipping along the southern coast and overland across the northern frontier. Therefore, it was not surprising that many countries closed their border frontiers to human and vehicular traffic when COVID-19 broke.
All our borders, that is by land, sea, and air, will be closed to human traffic for the next 2 weeks.
However, cargo traffic still remained opened.
This closure will not apply to goods, supplies, and cargo.
International cargo trade is predominantly by sea, with the ports of Ghana being responsible for over 80% international cargo trading. With a history of the devastating record of the 1918 pandemic on hindsight, the ports of Ghana have been extremely cautious ever since in its protective measures against being used as conduit to importing and spreading viral diseases of significant magnitude like Ebola and COVID-19. In 2014, significant efforts were made by Ghana's Ports and Harbours Authority to implement all the best strategies in order for Ghana not to record any cases of the Ebola. The Port Authority equally undertook measures, including training and sensitization, as early as January and February 2020, with both onshore and offshore restrictive measures to avoid any importation of COVID-19 cases, although cargoes were being received through the ports. The Port Authority also banned the receipt of cruise or passenger vessels, among others. It appears all these measures have paid off, as no case has so far been transported through ships and the ports to Ghana as of date.
Okay, so that's how the ports have been handling so far. Now, you got a fair idea comparing the history, that's 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, to how we are very much dealing with this situation right now. Doctor, how would you position sort of our resilience now? What have we been doing right? And if you can also confirm that whether indeed we have recorded any case coming from through the sea into the country.
The sea ports.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sammy. Indeed, we did not wait for anybody to tell us what to do or how to go about it. Being public health professionals and health professionals for that matter as well, when we had this pandemic, we didn't even wait for the day WHO announced that it's a pandemic.
Yeah.
We started our education, as you are aware, the awareness program. We started way back in January, where we went together with your crew, the Iron Port team, together with Port Health. We went around all the stakeholders in the port community. We started from the fishing harbor, which you are aware, where indeed it's a weak link. We all agree that our local fishermen go out to sea and they interact with international fishermen on high seas. That is where they could easily pick the disease and bring it into Ghana. So we tackled them first by giving them information, giving them the awareness what the whole of COVID is about, what the disease it is, how you can control the disease, how it is transmitted, how we can curb it, how we can prevent it, and all that. We did that to the fisher folks in their community. We went around all the departments in our authority. That means GPHA, every single department was reached out. We gave them information. We also didn't just stop at that as information. We demonstrated to them the preventive measures. How to wash your hands properly, how to wear a mask, how to wear gloves, how to remove them, and how to wear generally protective clothing, PPEs as we call them. We did that not only for our staff, we did it to the entire port community, as your videos have shown. That indeed, we are not alone. We're not an island, so we have to bring everybody on board because the port community is a multi-sectoral community. People from different sectors will all converge at the port to do business. And there are so many regulatory bodies there, government statutory bodies who work with us. But the port authority has the mandate to keep the port safe. Yeah. We are the gatekeeper, and we are a government establishment, though we are autonomous, but we are government. And for that matter, we can't allow or we can't afford to let the virus come through our port. Yeah. So what did we do right from the beginning? What we did was that we designed a quick declaration form on our own called the COVID-19 declaration form for all vessels. And we had them distributed to every shipping line and all clearing agents. That indeed, before a vessel will call at our port, they will have to fill that form and send to us by email, answer certain critical questions, key questions concerning COVID. And this is supposed to be done 7 clear days before the vessel arrives in our port. We'll call it before the ETA, the expected time of arrival. 7 clear days. And after that, every single day after giving us that initial update, they have to give us every day, a daily basis, the health condition of the crew on board the vessel until they arrive in our waters. And indeed, when they arrive in our waters, they administer the same COVID form again for the last time to know exactly, since you gave us 7 days ago the health status of your staff, of the crew members, how is it today as we've arrived at our anchorage? If we are satisfied that indeed all the questions that have been answered, there is no risk, then we let the port health people board the vessel at anchorage and assess again and do their routine service, which they've always been doing, the International Maritime Declaration, which is the mandate of the port health to do. They also check for infectious disease and other things. So together with port health, we have been at it.
Okay.
Initially, the port health, they were not boarding at anchorage, but with this COVID, we insisted that that should be done. Yeah. Because we need to keep people away from us.
Yeah. And as you talk about boarding at anchorage, I know that some of your staff as well go there when you have suspected cases and all of that. We will talk about that, but talk to us also about the level of human resources that are operating when it comes to health and fighting public health diseases and all of that at the frontiers, at the ports.
At the ports, okay. I think we'll agree that the seaports are the largest port of entry in our country, because the sea has no boundaries. It's wide, it's vast, especially our seaport. We realize that the borders, Gulf of Guinea, look at the big stretch. Indeed, the Navy plays a key role there, but as far as port is concerned, it's the responsibility of the Port Authority.
Okay.
Now, the Port Authority has its Health Services Department, which has the mandate to keep our staff and other key workers of the port community safe and healthy. Port Health, their primary mandate to just inspect vessels to make sure there's no disease, there's no infectious disease which will be transmitted or be brought into our country. And so they've been doing this before. But when COVID came, of course, we got much more involved because there are certain aspects that the port health people cannot do. One, indeed, if you find any disease on board the vessel, what happens? They have to now inform with the workers of the port health services, which is different from port health. Port health is an agency of Ghana Health Service. But GPHA Health Services is GPHA. It's Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority Health Services. So the two are very different. And we primarily, there are nurses, doctors, pharmacists, laboratory technicians, and all that. Okay. We constitute a team. Okay. Now, when we got all this, we had to form, already we have an existing emergency medical team in our clinic. We activated and gave the primary mandate that indeed these are emergency, serious times, so this committee should be activated and bring on board all the necessary things that we do. So every single health worker or health professional in our department is involved in this fight. We didn't leave it alone for just health workers. We needed to kind of empower our own staff to understand what this COVID-19 is all about. So that's why we did the education. And we demonstrated to them, show them how to prevent it and how to do basic hand washing and other things. But if I may quickly add, that looking at it, later I'm sure I will give you a whole scenario of how it works and how we are interconnected.
We are going to come to that because I have seen some of the wonderful jobs that have been done by Gideon as well as Regina, and I was so intrigued. For now, let's take a look at how they are working. The nurses at the GPHA clinics are working, the facilities they have to work with, and later you see, unfortunately because of the mask, you can't see their faces, but these are the people who are doing wonderfully well within the port community. Now, if you care to know, the Port Authority has about four health facilities. I think the Takrade clinic, there's also Tema, you have 2 clinics. That is the main clinic.
One health services department, no problem.
And then there's International Maritime Hospital.
Yes.
So let's take a look. Today will not be for International Maritime Hospital. Likely that next week we will feature International Maritime Hospital. But just take a look at the main port clinic, and there are next and what the
GPHA clinic.
The GPHA clinic, I mean.
Onshore, the health and medical team of Ghana's Ports and Harbours Authority are still leaving no stone unturned. The team has been playing a key role in the dispensation of health services during this period of COVID-19. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has 4 main health facilities: the GPHA Hospital in Takrade, the main GPHA clinic located in Tema Community 2, and the GPHA clinic annex located within the port operational areas that handle first-hand emergencies. Additionally, GPHA recently completed its fully state-of-the-art International Maritime Hospital with modern and top-class medical equipment, wards and facilities, and a helipad for emergency helicopter ambulance services. All the medical and health facilities operate a 24-hour services, providing top-class healthcare delivery to the port community, people of Tema, Greater Accra region, and Ghana as a whole. The GPHA clinic is not currently a designated treatment center, but continues to interface between generally sick patients and their families who could be potential carriers of the coronavirus. Iron Port gained exclusive coverage of the dealings within the GPHA clinic associated with COVID-19. The clinic ensures that all clients, staff, or visitors upon entrance of its facilities observe hygiene protocols, including washing of hands thoroughly under running water and the usage of alcohol-based hand sanitizers through automatic dispensers. Special screening of all patients on COVID-19 parameters is done to ascertain their status for effective isolation if they need be.
I'm about to ask you questions concerning COVID-19. This is the screening area. So I'll first ask you, if it is yes, you say yes. If it is no, say no. Please, are you coughing? No. Do you have difficulty in breathing?
Isolated patients who either show symptoms of COVID-19 or have been exposed to COVID-19 infected patients are taken to a holding area, which is restricted, where patients are detained and testing is done.
If you have an isolation or a holding area whereby all suspected cases could be quarantine, that is one of the best means of, tool to prevent spread of the disease.
According to Dr. Roland Dakpala, a senior medical doctor at GPHA, supportive treatment is given to patients who demonstrate symptoms that require attention in order to stabilize them until results are confirmed.
If we suspect a case and we have moved the case to our holding area, we just come and pick it as a set and then send it to our holding area for management of the symptoms till the results come.
Gideon Lamptey, a medical laboratory scientist, took the team through the procedure of sample taking.
We observe the social distancing. So what happens is that the patient sits here. We take the case-based forms that we have here. It covers all the demographics. So there are times that some don't have the sputum, the nasal sample. So we take the sputum if they can produce the phlegm for us. And the face showed that anytime we take the sample, we wear to protect us from the aerosols that will be generated during the sample taking process.
He hinted a high probability of expanding the holding area should the number of reported cases and other infectious diseases increase.
We are planning into the future. Once COVID is there, it's not only COVID. These diseases of public health concern, they are always coming. So once you have and you plan for that, it makes it easier. It also protects we, the healthcare workers.
Dr. Wulandakpala said all these procedures by health officials are done with strict adherence to the proper use of the personal protective equipment.
We've arranged everything by set. If we have a suspected case, we just come and pick a set. And the set, everything that is inside is written out.
He added that regular fumigation of the holding areas and other areas of contact in the clinic facility is done to the contagious nature of COVID-19.
This is an infectious disease, and so any time that we have a suspected case or we've taken samples, we have to fumigate the place before the next person comes.
He emphasized that COVID-19 is not a myth, so the general public should comply with all safety protocols announced by health authorities.
It is real that COVID-19 is a disease and not just a hoax. So we will still continue to advise strongly that every citizen still continue to take their infection prevention measures.
The matron nurse of the GPHA clinic said even though they could not celebrate the week-long World Nursing Celebration, they will continue to play their key role in taking care of the general public against the COVID-19. She also expressed worry over stigmatization against nurses and frontline officers during the period of the COVID-19 and discouraged those who do so to desist from the act.
I want to tell them that although we are nursing the patients, we are fully in our PPEs that protects us. We maintain our social distancing and then we are able to handle them. If you have your nose mask, your gown with your full PPE, there's no way you can contact the disease.
This is the entrance of the holding area, which is an area designated to take samples from suspected cases. And then in here what happens is that when you come, you sit, and then the medical laboratory scientist in the person of GIDEON, LAMPTEY'S, would have to take samples of the suspected case and then take the samples to Noguchi, and the results we are told would arrive within 24 to 48 hours, which means that latest by 2 days they expect that the results will be in. So this is an area that has been designated for persons to come in here for their samples to be taken. Reported from the GPHA main clinic in Tema, this is Solomon Anderson.
Good job. So that was the story produced by my producer, General Solomon Anderson. But Madam Regina, so I'll come to you at this point. The nurses who have been working within the port and at the front line like that, and I heard Madam Elizabeth talking about the fact that you protect yourself and so you are okay. Tell us about the experience this has been for you.
For us nurses, this is what we always do. We are there, we have been trained especially to take care of sick people, to handle them, bring them comfort, and help them to perform those activities that, if not because of the illness, they would have performed on their own. Yeah. So we are already equipped to take care of the patient. Nice. But in this time of COVID, what we are experiencing is the use of the PPEs. I mean, you have to be wearing them to protect yourself before you come in your uniform and then you come to attend to your patient. But now you have to don PPEs, wear your face masks to protect yourself from inhaling any aerosol that may be generated from the patient. You also have to wear your gloves and your head covers and then your disposable gowns to be able to protect you from any infectious viruses that may be circulating in the air. This has become necessary because the COVID is very infectious. Yes. And these are the measures we are taking. Also, as nurses, we have We have been involved in intensive education of the public,
very important.
the port community, with the support of our general manager. We have done extensive education, and it is still ongoing. This is what we do on daily basis. Anybody that comes to the clinic, we make them understand the reality of the COVID situation, so that they take informed decision of protecting themselves. Because the only way you can prevent yourself from contracting the COVID is to avoid coming into contact with the virus. Yes, so we want the general public to know that they have to adhere to all the safety protocols that has been put out there by the World Health Organization, by the Ministry of Health, and the world will be a peaceful place for us to stay.
And thanks to you, you are making that happen so far. And last week was the International Nurses Day or Week, is it?
Yes, it was International Nurses Day.
Okay.
Yes, it was on the 12th of May.
Yeah.
This day is usually celebrated annually. Yes, to acknowledge the work and the efforts that nurses have been putting in to help the society and the community at large. Yes, and when it happens, usually it's a week-long program. We launch it, we go on.
You enjoy yourselves.
You enjoy ourselves, yes, which we deserve. But unfortunately, this year,
time around,
because of the COVID, it was observed though, yes, by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association on the low key, and it was observed.
Okay, but the WhatsApp numbers are already on the screens, and when the phone lines open, I'm sure that you are going to even enjoy it more, because people are really appreciate what you do. And the messages have started coming congratulating you for the good jobs you've been doing. Whether you got a chance to celebrate it or not, you were still celebrating by helping some of us and helping people. And we always wish you well and congratulations. But again, the fact that this whole dressing, putting on these apparels have become necessary at this point in time, does that make you feel any different as a nurse, day by day when you step at the clinic to go work? Which is not what you used to be. Regularly, you would have been in your all white or the green and white kind of.
It doesn't really make us feel any different, because our training as nurses has prepared us to become responsible in any way and versatile in any situation that confronts us. So for us, we are ready, provided we have the protective gear to wear to go and attend to the patient. We are ready to do that.
Okay.
Yes.
And what about that level? Are you getting the required for nurses? And I'm asking you this not just because of where you work now, but you're also a fellow of the West African College of Nurses. Do you think that in this period, nurses are getting the required support in terms of the materials you need to work and all of that?
That is a great concern. Yes, because we've had calls. I've personally had calls from some of our nurses from the other institutions, and then in the remote areas that they are not having the needed PPE. Some are even saying that even the nose masks that are supposed to protect them from inhaling any of these infectious viruses, they do not have, and they have to improvise. And that is a source of worry for us, because for us nurses, we have to be strong and healthy to be able to take care of the people who are sick. So if we are not well protected, how can we go out there and protect the others? And so if our front is broken, or if there's a situation that will cause a collapse of the workforce, because you know that in the healthcare setting, the nurses comprises a greater number of the workforce in the healthcare setting. So if nurses are not well protected and they get exposed to the virus and fall sick, imagine what will happen. The health system will collapse.
Break down.
And so we have a great concern here that the government of Ghana will ensure that there is even distribution of PPEs from the very smallest of healthcare facility to the biggest, so that attention will not be shifted and put on only the bigger institutions, but the very smallest, because now that we have community spread of corona, you may never know. Somebody at a health post or health center somewhere will be the one who will pick up a suspected case, which may later be confirmed. So they are also very important, and then the PPEs have to get to them so that will come out and then and do the nursing work.
Yeah, but currently where you are working, being at the GPHA clinic and being at the forefront preventing the importation, what's the situation there? Do you have the facilities, do you have the PPEs, and do you have all of that to work with?
Yes, thanks to the authority that we are working with, there is enough supply of the PPEs that we need to wear to protect ourselves, to take care of our clients who come there.
So you heard that about nurse. You work at a better place.
Exactly, but we have come from somewhere.
Okay.
We have come from somewhere.
Okay.
And we cannot forget where we came from.
Yeah.
We have sisters and colleagues who are out there who need to be protected.
Definitely.
If all of us are protected and we are healthy at the end of fighting COVID, we all meet and then we celebrate. Okay. It will not be happy, it will not be good if at the end of COVID, those of us who find ourselves in a bit of privileged places are around, and then our colleagues who were equally providing the same services have to lay their lives down because of that. Yeah. So that is why we are pleading. We at this point in time, we know that the government alone cannot do everything. Mm-hmm. So for organizations and philanthropists who have the capacity to support should help provide the PPE so that all nurses and all health workers can get it, and then we'll give off our best. Thank you.
Doc, you wanted to say something before I bring Gideon?
Yes, thank you, Sammy. I just want to add a bit to Regina. She's a nurse, and we are in the same team together. And indeed, she said something that some of us who find ourselves in certain privileged institutions, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority is one of such institutions. And indeed, when this issue of COVID came, like I said, we didn't wait to get instructions from central government or Ministry of Health. We took it upon ourselves as healthcare professionals. We know what we're supposed to do in times like this, when we have pandemics. So what did we do? We made a proposal to management. Management did not hesitate. As we speak, and I quote, indeed, we spend well over 2 million Ghana cedis on PPEs alone, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Wow. This is a government institution, but it's not self-vented. Yeah. We generate our own revenue, but indeed we spend, because we have to indeed support government. We have to also help to do what? To keep our staff and our business going. If we do not keep our ports safe and the ports close down, if Tema Ports or Takoradi Ports close down today, I think Ghana will grind to a halt. Because we know that, we've all seen and we know that the airports are shut, no flights are coming in, but the port has never been shut. We've been working every day, even since the beginning of COVID-19 till date. Yeah. We've never shut down. All the vessels are coming, bringing all the cargo. We are working on the cargo and all that. What have we done? The guidelines that have been prepared because of this COVID, we have sent our guidelines and directives to all the entire community. That indeed, these are the things we have to do, A, B, C, D. If you do not follow those guidelines, you have no business in the port. Mm. So we are quite strict. There is even a higher committee called the GPHA COVID-19 Interagency Committee. This is a very, an interagency committee. The name speaks for itself. Okay. We have members from National Security, from the Ghana Navy, from the Ghana Police, from the GRA, from Immigration. Yeah. All these are members, including GPHA staff, who form this committee so that together we can look at it, at policy at that level, and then direct the rest of the authority and then the community, shipping company, what to do.
I think what excites me is the enormous effort you put in. Yes. And I saw you during the Ebola period around 2014 and the sort of work that you did from that time and through to now. What excites me is all these efforts that you have put in. So what we saw 1918, way back then, seeing a lot of people dying in the country and all of that because we had ships transport some of these diseases. It's not something we are seeing now because a lot of efforts have been done on your part and on your part of your authority to make sure that we don't see this. I'm going to bring Gideon in because as we talk about Ebola, I also know that you have...
Maybe before he comes in, could I just quickly chip in that?
Go ahead.
Because the Port Authority, management has seen it very, very important and key. They have voted our resources. These are budgets that we never prepared for. These are emergency budgets that have been, money has been given. There has not been any instance where management has refused to buy PPEs. The only time, if we don't have it on the market, we don't have it. Yeah. But as far as we can find it on the market, they bought everything for us. That is why, if you saw in the videos, the nurses, all other health staff are fully gowned, they are fully protected. to the extent that when people see us wearing this gown, they are amazed. When we started the whole thing and we were wearing masks at the OPD and doing all that, some people came out from Ghana Health Service and elsewhere to tell us that we're too known. Why are we doing that? But we were ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
And I can say for sure that we're ahead of everybody, and that has protected our nurses, protected all other health staff. Not only that, that is why we're able to prevent the import of any COVID-19 case through the seaports.
So
not a single
one. You haven't recorded
not
any.
Not a case.
And the same you did for Ebola.
Not a case. We never got it through the port.
I see.
And indeed, we should remember that vessels come from the Far East, come from all these highly affected, risky countries. Italy, China, Spain. We got vessels coming from there every day.
And they are still coming.
They're still coming. We have never shut the port. And yet, nothing has gone through. Why did we do? Because we put measures in place. These measures are indeed working, and the measures are speaking from themselves.
Okay.
And indeed, I think the international community is applauding us. I remember very well when UNTAC, they wanted some information about how we are dealing with COVID. They came to us and we gave them the information. Yeah. Recently, the EU came to us through WeCaps. WeCaps is a project of the EU, and indeed, again, whatever they came to propose we should do to keep the port safe, we already have that. We had that even before WeCaps came and proposing that to us. But we already had that in place. So these are some of the things that we need to let people know and understand that indeed we're doing our best to support government, to support Mother Ghana, to be able to keep this dangerous virus at bay.
Yeah.
As we speak, all vessels that come, we do not allow any crew to disembark.
Yeah.
There must be a reason why you disembark. If you are sick, on the basis of sickness or ill health, will allow you.
Okay.
I happen to be the incident commander in the port, so day and night I don't sleep.
Yeah.
They must go through me to get clearance and all that. So we are doing all this not only as health workers, but we've reached out indeed, sometimes working as mariners.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's a good point, and at the right time to bring Gideon in. Before I even let him start speaking, I want you to see what he and others have been doing, getting samples from vessels. Yes. And if you have to board a vessel and go as far as the anchorage, if you've ever done that before, you know what I'm talking about. The way, okay, you just take a look at it and we'll come back.
Can you imagine having to be in close contact with the dreaded coronavirus on a daily basis? Imagine the anxiety that could be associated with whether or not you have been infected with COVID-19 due to the nature of your work. Imagine having to continually observe the strictest level of precautions against COVID-19 in your everyday life. Unlike most people, the slightest mistake on your part does not only endanger yourself and immediate contact, but can severely jeopardize the outcomes of someone's health diagnosis. That is the life of Gideon Lamptey, a senior medical laboratory scientist at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority's clinic. Gideon is 38 years and married with 3 children. He's a native of Jamestown, British Accra, and an alumnus of the School of Allied Health Sciences, University of Ghana, and the University of Liverpool, where he gained higher learning. Gideon is a fellow of the West African Postgraduate College of Medical Laboratory Scientists. He has been at the very front of coronavirus-related interactions since the outbreak of the pandemic. On an average day, he plays a key role in the diagnosis of medical conditions at the GPHA clinic. But now, he plays a much more crucial role in the case management of COVID-19 at the GPHA clinic.
When I say case management, it's not a detailed like what is being done at the national level, but of course, when we do have a suspected case, there are some aspect of management that we have to do for the client or for the patient before even national comes in or whilst we await for the result.
Gideon has been pivotal in the screening of crew members during the arrival of vessels at the Tema port in these times of preventing importation and spread of the coronavirus.
You know that even my profession, I'm trained as a medical laboratory scientist, and as part of our training, we don't have that sea exposure. When desperate times called for desperate measures, so as we were working to, we know that the port is also an entry point. So we quickly have to do what needs to be done to ensure that our clients that access our ports here are protected.
The medical laboratory scientist described the difficulty of participating in port activities, but emphasized how he needed to adapt to enable him contribute efficiently to the fight against COVID-19 at ports of Ghana, which is considered a major avenue to importation of the disease.
I had the training, in fact, a very, very short training from the harbour master, Captain Yeboah, and also he assisted me. One Captain Gakpe, yes, I think that's the name. So they will give me on tuition, basic tuition on what to do in order to go and climb a monkey ladder. Of course, I have no swimming experience, so it was just sheer bravery. That and of
GIDEON has also been crucial in the sensitization campaign the Medical Services Department of GPHA embarked on prior to and after the confirmation of positive COVID-19 cases in Ghana. He revealed the challenges associated with convincing patients to collaborate by offering the right information and assistance.
There is no stigma about this COVID. You see, there are many times that you would even go to a contact house to go and take the sample. Immediately you leave there, the whole area will come and tell you that they say this man has it. So there is stigma. So it's a challenge, but you know that in most of the cases it's all about gaining the trust of the patient.
Gideon LAMPTEY has worked in his medical field for more than a decade and has previously served in the Liberia Treatment Center during the Ebola pandemic. Being a family man, Gideon is keen on his personal protection and, in addition to strictly following the health protocols, has already tested on 3 occasions to ensure he is not infected with the coronavirus.
Anytime I take a sample, I'm in my full regalia, my full PPE, my gown, my face shield. Every part of me is protected. I also have my able-bodied trained disinfecting team. So once I finish taking the sample, they take me through the process to mop me with bleach if there is a need for them to spray me.
That's beautiful, and congratulations, Gideon. A very hard job that you are undertaking on behalf of the country. This is not just for the Ports Authority, on behalf of country. How does that make you feel?
Well, thank you very much for the privilege, but like I always say, it makes, or I feel elated, me having to use my rich experience to help, especially during these critical times that we find ourselves in. And I'm always happy to respond to the call to help, especially at the port, to ensure that we don't have imported cases through our port.
Yeah. Now, one thing that intrigues me, you have a very rich background, but one of the things that really struck me was your experience with the Liberia Treatment Center during the Ebola time. What was it about?
Very scary. You know, I always tell my colleagues that Ebola is very dangerous, more than COVID. Because looking at the case fatality for Ebola, you know, and slightly if you don't put in the necessary measures, you end up infecting yourself.
I see.
Yeah, and we know that in Liberia was serious. Their health system was not good like we have here in Ghana. So some of us.
And you were there?
Yes, we have to go to augment the work. We also receive training. So whilst we are there, we are continuing with the training. There are times that we even have to go into the community.
Were you in Ghana and you were invited there?
Yes, I had the opportunity to serve.
Okay. And to what extent has that also enabled you to do what you're doing right now on behalf of the ports and the country?
Yeah, at least it killed the fear in me. One of the things that would help you to be able to attend to such cases or such cases of public health importance is fear. So once you are able to kill the fear out of you, with the training and the PPEs, you are able to go. So I believe this training that I had previously, and also I served in that capacity at my former workplace, my general hospital, that had a treatment center there. Most of the cases that we had there, the Lassa fever case, I was part of the management. So all of these things put me in good state to be able to serve as I'm doing now.
The fear part, I'm interested. Now, there are a lot of people that as soon as, you see, doctor mentioned the number of cases today, 5,000 something. Some people, as soon as they hear that 5,000, no, then they jump. Some people, as soon as they hear put on nose mask, then they fear. What is keeping you going? How did you get out of this fear?
Yeah, one of the things I tell myself is that if I don't do it, who will do it? I'm trained. I'm a trained person. Government has invested its resources on me. Yeah. I'm being paid. So if I run away, then who is going to do it? I don't expect my younger brother or my uncle who doesn't have training to come and do it. So I have to do it. Someone must step and do the job. Good. So once I put that in me, I tend to put in the necessary precaution. I ask myself, what can I do to protect myself? Because once you are protected, you'll be in a better position to offer the medical help that the patient needs.
Awesome. And you now go to the vessel and take samples. What goes into that? Tell us about how do you get to go to the vessel and take samples, and what's the experience like?
So basically the whole process starts with my general manager. A call is placed to him and he goes about and he informs me. And of course the medical emergency response team that we have at the clinic, there are nurses, there are laboratory scientists like myself. We also have the pharmacists there. So we have this team that we have everything planned. So once the calls come, or the director, the call comes from my boss, we are good to go. We just get, yes, we pick our ambulances, our PPEs, and we move to the port, the various beds where the case is happening, and we go to assist there.
Yeah, and the experience with climbing the monkey ladder, and I see you in the pictures climbing the monkey ladder. The first time I was told to climb the monkey ladder, I saw the waves down there, and I looked at the height of the vessel, and I said, God help me, I won't do this. What's moving you?
My brother, it was sheer bravery.
And how did you learn it so quickly to do that? That's
maybe I would say that it's just that I had my boss, he gave me the necessary backing. He told me, promised me that I'll ensure that you'll be safe. Yeah. So he called the right people who were there, the harbor master. You know, once you have experienced people at post, they would give you what you need to do. Yeah. And I believe those tidbits is what I just followed through. I was told at a point in time that I should just time the wave. So, and of course, at that level, I've seen the sea waves, but it's a different ball game.
When you get there, yeah.
Yes. At a point in time, midway through, I was asking myself that, now who sent me cry? Who asked me to do this? There was total fear in me. Yeah. But of course, I had the support of the mariners telling me, we are there, we'll take you there, just calm down. And finally, I was able to climb the monkey ladder, following the directives, not to look down, and just climb and go.
Okay, so I'll be asking you about what you've been experiencing when you get to the vessel, what you do there. But the numbers that you can WhatsApp us on is 020-552-8353, 020-552-8353. If you want to share your thoughts with us, you have questions to ask around COVID-19, you live in Tema or you live around anywhere, and you have questions to answer. These men and women have been doing wonderfully well at the GPHA clinic, and you can as well send in those comments. And if you also want to wish the nurses and doctors and the technicians well in what they're doing, you can equally do that. The number that you can call is 055-901-9177, 055-901-9177. The number to WhatsApp, though, 020-552-8353. Gidi, so what do you go on board to do?
Okay, so
you go to the vessel, and what do you do?
So basically, in a case scenario, if a crew happens to meet a case-based definition for COVID or any of those diseases of medical importance or public health concern, we have to go on board. We usually ensure that the crew are rightly positioned at a place that when you go there, you yourself are safe. So most of the time we tell them to remain in their cabins, especially those ones that are sick. So once we climb and we get on board, you have to first of all ensure that all the protocols for your disinfection is available. So they will tell you where their washroom is. You go and sanitize your hand. After you take off your medical gadgets, your temperature, your sample taking apparatus, I carry them all along. So once I get there, I have to check the BP, the temperature, which is very, very key.
Of the crew members?
Yes, of the crew, of all the crew members. Also take much more details of the condition. You know that these crew or these seafarers, their medical knowledge is not to the apart. So you have to get more information, medical information that would help you know exactly or be able to diagnose his condition. So you have to spend some time taking details and taking notes. So once you are done, you take the necessary samples and you disembark from the vessel.
And how regular is this done?
Well, very regular.
How often do you have to get on board?
So far, I think I've been almost 5 or 6 times there.
Wow.
That I've been going. Okay. Recently, one vessel that berthed at the 15, we had to go there with one of our medical officer, Dr. Adakwala.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to go, even take the sample, and you know how long it takes.
Yeah.
So
how long does it take?
Now, they are saying it's 48 hours. Between 24 to 40 before you get the results. Okay. That's what Noguchi so far. Sometimes it can be long.
Yeah.
And they have their reasons for delaying the results.
And how many crew are you able to test at a time that you get on board?
Sometimes 3 or 4 if there is a need for us to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Often how many crew members are on board the vessel, and why do you test 3 or 4?
Like I said earlier, I'm sorry. You have to meet the case criteria, right? You have to meet the symptoms. We don't just go and take everybody's samples. Once you are sick and you are showing the respiratory symptoms or you are down with other conditions, that's when we take the sample with the hope that once the results comes out, there will be further follow-up. So if a results come back as positive, then we have to go back to all the crew members and start checking all of them. So it's need basis, case by case basis that we take the samples.
Okay. I'm told by my producer that I missed the numbers up. So the number that you can WhatsApp rather is the 055-901-9177. 055-901-9177. That's on your screens. The number that you can call is 020-552-8353. 020-552-8353. And I'm told to also remind you that it's live on Facebook. So if you're watching and you want to send any message to the nurses and doctors and congratulate them, you are at liberty to do so. But Madam Regina, let me come back to you again. Nurses at the GPHA clinic, how often do you get involved with people that I don't know how we call them. When you see the person now, you suspect that this one is, hey, this one, how do I approach, is it a daily thing? Because some people say that, hey, once you get to the hospital, almost everybody who is coming there, Charlie, you must fear. Is that the case?
Yeah, for now that we have the community spread of the COVID, everybody is a potential suspected case. Yes, it's a potential or a suspected.
Anybody who walks into the clinic?
Anybody who walks into the clinic.
Okay.
So we treat everybody as such. And for that matter, we ensure that if you are not masked, you do not enter the clinic. Okay. We want to protect you who is coming for healthcare services, and we also want to protect other people and ourselves.
Okay.
Yes. So rising up and going to work every day, you expect that at any point in time you come into contact with a suspected case. Wow. We say suspected because until the results come and it is positive, you cannot. So we treat them as such, and we ensure social distance at the clinic all the time.
Okay.
We ensure that all the safety and the hygiene protocols are in place. When you come, you wash your hands first before you even go to the records. Yes, you come. We have prepared beds at the entrances of our doors with bleach, so that you step on it and then you disinfect your foot. Yes, so we are putting all those measures in place so that when you come to the clinic to access healthcare, you do not contract the virus from there, and then if you are also a suspected carrier, you do not transmit it to somebody else.
And how are people collaborating? How are patients collaborating? Because once you are seeing everybody as a potential suspect, you are fully prepared, you have dressed well, you are well gowned. Somebody may approach you and expect that you even come and embrace them, but you're also observing something. Are people receiving this and are not seeing you as you are just being unnecessarily too petty?
Initially it was like that, But with the continuous education, I think it is improving now. Initially, people come and then they are not in marks. You tell them to wear it and they don't see the reason why they have to wear it. And then now you don't stand for a long time to chat with the patients who come. You know, that is part of the support we nurses give to the client. Because for some people, they are not really physically sick. They need some kind of psychological support. Well, so when they come to tell you whatever their history is, you have time, you listen to them, and then you give them some consoling where you see that even if it is paracetamol you give them, they go home and they are fine. But in this era of corona, you cannot stand and then chat with such a patient for a long time. Yes, and it has become necessary because of the situation. So initially they were not understanding it, but I think now it is sinking down because of the constant education. We do daily education at the OPD. When you come, the COVID is real. It's a very infectious disease. When you have it and you have other comorbidities, you might not know how it will work on your system. So the best way is to prevent coming into contact with the virus. And so
I'm going to pick Avalon from Tema, and I'll come back to you. You mentioned a very important and big word, comorbidity or whatever. I'll come back to you and we'll break down a few things. We'll talk about stigmatization as well. Hello, Avalon.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Congratulations to Dr. Anap and Gideon, my boss, and Regina.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to find out if they are considering screening all the workers at the port.
Sorry, go say that again.
I'm asking if they are considering screening all the workers at the port.
You're asking if whether they are considering training all the screening. Okay, screening. Okay, that's a good point. Okay, so that's well noted. Thank you, Avalon. I will have Dr. Anap take that one shortly. Some messages also, but let me have you respond to this. Now that people don't understand that you have to sit and chat with them and do all of that, have you also changed your strategies as nurses?
Yes, our strategies have. We've modified it, yes. And it all boils down to the education. If you tell the person why you are doing what, then you get the full cooperation of the person. Yes. So now we are educating the general public that if you are not really sick, there's no need to come to the hospital. So that the slightest headache or some kind of thing that maybe you need rest, you need to take some water to flush out your system, you are just jumping to come to the clinic, you might come and pick infection. So it all boils down to the education that we are currently handling.
Okay.
You need to add something to that.
Yes.
Sami, just to add to what Regina said, indeed, we don't encourage people to just walk into the clinic in and out as they used to do, especially GPHA clinic. This is a clinic for an organization, and our staff and dependents, they have free medical care. So sometimes some people just, you know, the slightest thing, they just want to walk in. I'll give you a particular example. Now we try to encourage those who have chronic diseases like hypertension, diabetes. If indeed they do not have any urgent need or any sickness or any complaint, then they should rather just call us. We are ready and willing to fill their prescription for them, and they'll pick them up.
Okay.
Instead of coming to go through and sit down and all that. Especially a lot of the diabetics have their own glucometer, so they're able to monitor their blood sugars. So they will ask them and they'll tell us the history and what they've been doing for their blood sugar and also their BPs. So if you don't really have to come and you just come in because of medication, we'll arrange it for you, get it pre-packed at the pharmacy, and you only come in and pick your medicine and you go. So you don't have to go through the system.
On that, I'll be talking to you about how people can assess you if they don't wish to come to the place, but want to be able to pick up some of these health assistance. But Nathaniel is on the line from Tema. Hello, Nathaniel. Okay, we have that line drop. So Gideon, let me talk to you about stigmatization. You try so well, and we heard in the piece, you're a family man, got 3 kids. How do you ensure that anytime you go home, kids are safe, families safe? And I tell you my own, anytime I even step out and go to work and come, they tell me to stay outside, take off all my clothes and dry them before I come inside. Yeah. So how are you coping? How are you doing it?
Yeah.
And you go all the way close to people like that.
So you could imagine. And there are many times that my wife would have to scold me. Yes, yes, it hasn't been easy, and I understand.
And the kids want to come and embrace you
Yes,
and hug
so
you. And
I put in measures. I remember the early stages, I had to take my kids to my in-laws for them to
take care of them while you handle
that. Because every day in and day out that I'm going out to work, there's a high probability that I could be infected and I could send that to my kids. So I let them go to stay with my in-laws. And any time that I leave job, I try to wash my hands as much as possible. Once I get home too, I quickly move to the bathroom. I take off my shoes, straight to the bathroom. I wash down before I come to even go about my husbandly duties at home. So it hasn't been easy. Yes.
Okay. So I'll come back to you again with stigma, but Nathaniel is back on the line. Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Okay. Please, my name is Nathaniel Ashon, calling from Tema.
Okay.
Okay. I want to ask what they are doing to deal with the people that are being stigmatized when they will pick samples.
Okay. Okay. So I think, thank you very much, Nathaniel. That brings me to the stigmatization. But I will let Doc talk about the general stigmatization. But from your side, you, even as a person, as a health worker working, are you stigmatized in your area? People get to see you as, hey, we know your country.
Yeah, many times. Sometimes my own friends that I sit down to have drink ups with, when I come with them to sit down to have a conversation, they'll tell you I should go. I should be far away from that, don't even come. Yeah, yes, so I try to assure them. I understand it's human. Of course, if I'm in their shoes, I would feel that way. But I always tell them that they know I've been doing this for quite a long time. I have the experience. I know that from what the government has said, the president has said, we all have to be observing the social distance. So I can still come and we have social distancing. We'll put on our nose masks as we go about the conversation. And if I only visit them if and when it's necessary. So it's the stigmatization issue is still a problem. It's still a problem. I want to take this opportunity to continue to appeal to them that it doesn't help because we are fighting for God and country. We are putting our lives at risk. And we want them to appreciate us when we come home, when we sit with them. They shouldn't talk about this. They should rather encourage us to do more. Because if we don't do our work, it ends up continuing to increase the case base that we've been having so far.
Yeah. And Doc, okay, before you, let me ask you, Gideon, you've tested this, I think 3 times
Yes,
or so.
yes, I have.
And all tested negative. How regular do you wish to be testing? Looking at the fact that you always go...
Per WHO standards, for a healthcare worker to really be a risk, then you should not be having your PPEs on.
Okay.
So if I get exposed or I tend to a client where I was not having even my nose masks on, it's a problem.
Yeah.
But if you have all of these things on, your gowns, you are very, very low risk.
Okay.
And of course, I've been taking my medications, my supplements to support me as I go about my duties.
Okay. Let me pick John from Lashibi and I'll come back to Dr. Nab. Hello, John.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, John. If you can turn down the volume on your set and just listen to us via the phone handle that you have.
Hello.
John, we can hear you.
Please.
Okay. Hello? Okay, so I'm going to have the producers fix you real quick. I'm sure they will explain to you what you need to do, and then we'll come back. Doctor, the issue of stigmatization, now for your health workers, do you see that, as Gideon is saying, and then also for the general public, somebody who might have come there to just test? They may not even be positive or negative, but people see them. Once you have gone there and come out,
yes, that's
there's
true.
wahala for you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sami. Indeed, stigmatizations at different levels. You have the healthcare worker stigmatization, and then you also have the patient stigmatization, isn't it? So people stigma, like what Gideon just narrated, is purely health professional stigmatization. Because you work in a hospital, and this time of COVID, anybody working in a hospital is a high-risk person. That's how they look at us. To the extent our own personal friends don't even want to come close to us.
I see.
Some will refuse visiting you because they think that, no, you are a risky person, so they would rather not come near you. So they are stigmatizing healthcare workers. What we are saying is that, please, and please, everybody, there is no need to do that. Like you saw us on the screen, we're all fully covered, and we don't wear these things home. For instance, when I'm in my office, and any of my nurses or lab people that are coming to my office, they have to take off their gown before they enter my office. Why? Because the gown, which is the protective cover, can carry the virus. So when they are entering an area which is not a clinical area, they need to take precautions, and they do that. Okay. So indeed, we're saying that stigmatization will only make the issues worse. Why? Because COVID-19, unfortunately, we have a lot of asymptomatic carriers walking about. They don't even know that they have the virus. They don't know how the disease, and yet they are transmitting it. So if you stigmatize, you may be stigmatizing somebody who's working in a hospital or clinic, but you don't know your next door neighbor who will be the one who will come and rather infect you. Because you think that, oh, that's my church member, he doesn't work in a hospital, and yet he's got a disease from the community, all right? And also stigmatization of patients will make the patients run underground. They'll go underground because in our society, we know as Africans and as Ghanaians, we are communal in nature. So we interact with everybody that you live with, the same compound or in neighborhood. We all are friends and family, okay? So if somebody, you think that somebody has it and you want to stigmatize that person, excuse me, so what about the one you don't know who has got it? Who rather you welcome and embrace, and rather you embrace the disease. So it is not necessary. It's rather, as you said, important that we give support to people who have got challenges. See it as, what about hypertension, diabetes? Should we stigmatize people who have got hypertension, diabetes? No, we cannot do that. We can only help them.
I'll come to some of those. David is on the line from Tema. Hello, David.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, this is David Osuben calling from Tema.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and first of all, I just want to congratulate the entire health team of the GPHA for the work that they are doing. Honestly, I was amazed when I watched the brief documentary of GIDEON. I mean, it's very, very encouraging, and we should encourage them to do more. There is this question that I also want to ask. Looking around, you realize that a whole lot of big institutions are laying off workers. Does GPHA has that in mind to lay off some workers in the future?
Okay, thank you very much, David. I'm sure Doc will tell you that he's nowhere near HR. But
let me add up to that.
The stigmatization. Yes. Okay, you add it. I will also ask from the nurses as well.
There have been even instances that we have to go to the house or homes of contacts to take samples, and only for the area members to, or the people, or the citizens there to, so to speak, tag the person that he has COVID.
You are just going to take samples from a contact. And they think that...
Yes, and there have been many instances that it has even turned out negative. There was one particular case that went to Ashaman to go and take the sample. I was there immediately. We finished taking the sample. We're done off. We tried to minimize public exposure. But yes, so somebody had the nerve to be videoing us. And I was really scared.
Yes, but were you fully gowned?
We were fully gowned.
Okay, so anytime you're going for the contact...
Yes, we were fully gowned. And I have to be very stern on him and try to explain to him that if it is you. So I warned him that, yes, and if this video should even get out, it will be a problem
the person
for him.
may not have, or even if they have, what's
it came out even negative.
I see.
You see the situation. Right after we've left there, the man and everybody came to gather over there that the gentleman has COVID. So I want to urge the citizens, Ghanaians, that the fact that you're a contact or sometimes contact tracers would have to come to your home doesn't make the individual a confirmed case. And
but even if it does make them confirmed case, what's the big deal?
There's no big deal. and indeed, we should look at, the disease by itself is traumatizing enough.
Yeah.
And now if you have to add stigma to it, you're adding double burden.
Yeah.
So the psychological trauma is too much. The only thing you have to do is to support that person. Elsewhere in the world, nobody shuns COVID patients.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you don't have. So we have to keep talking. And also I want to encourage people that, look, indeed, those who have had a disease, and indeed they were asymptomatic, or even they went through treatment and they are well now, they are cured, they should come out. They should come out as champions and speak to it and let people know them. That indeed I had this disease, I am well, there's nothing wrong with me.
I'm going to...
So it's a whole lot, you know, psychological support. We know we have a lot of clinical psychologists in the country who are trying to help with all these things going on, but we have to do more in terms of in the community. People must understand. Citizens or nationals of Ghana must understand that indeed there's no need to stigmatize anybody because anybody can be a victim of this disease. It is no respecter of persons. It doesn't know political lines. It doesn't know ethnic backgrounds. Neither there's no social status. So we are all one when it comes to COVID-19. So we should not stigmatize anybody.
Certainly.
And if I will answer, there was a question that somebody called to answer about
please
GPHA.
note that one. Yes, we are coming back to that.
Okay.
And then there's another one as well. Ohima is calling us from Tema. Hello, good evening, Ohima.
Yes, good evening for me. And I'd like to say congratulations and kudos to the GPHA medical team. They are doing a great job. And I pray that even as they take all the precautions and go in their gowns, the Lord Himself also protect them from contracting any disease. And on the stigmatization, you know, it's easier said than done. We can say we shouldn't stigmatize people, but the question I keep asking myself is, should this come close to me, like maybe a friend or a relative gets the disease? How am I going to treat the person? So before you get any such person coming close to you and seeing a situation like, you should be telling yourself how you are going to react to the person. Otherwise, it might come close to you, and by the time you realize, maybe without knowing, you are stigmatizing the person for no reason. So as we go about advising people, we should also be telling ourselves and getting ready to come to the situation in case we come close to such persons, because it's not fair to stigmatize anybody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ohima. So, Doc, you wanted to talk about the GPHA. The person asked whether we should test everybody. And you work for an institution. Do you think it's about time you test almost everybody within your institution, and whether it's something you would advocate for all other institutions as well?
Thank you, Sami. I would say that there's no need to test everybody en masse. It's not necessary.
Oh,
why?
Sure?
Because you can test somebody today, tomorrow he'll pick the virus.
Okay.
What happens? What have you done? Are you going to be testing everybody every day? So that is why we categorize people. We have high risk people, medium risk, and low risk.
Okay.
So if you look at it, if the person is not a suspected case, if the person is not a contact, why do you test the person?
Okay.
In any way, I mean, this is public health, and of course, resources must be used prudently. There must be prudent use of resources. So you don't just go lining up people and testing everybody. What's the justification?
And it's expensive to test.
Exactly. Is it sustainable? It's not. In this day and age where resources are so scarce, you don't just go do certain things. In any case, there's a golden rule about screening. If you have to do that, if testing everybody, that means you're screening. If you do that, that means that you should be ready to handle the cases if you pick up any. So if you're not ready to do it, it's better you don't do it. You can make sure, of course, if somebody is test positive, you will do the proper contact tracing and test all contacts. If the contacts are even 1,000, you will test them. And that's what we've been doing indeed. There are some people where one person, you can trace about over 30 contacts to one person, and we take samples from all of them. But us to just do it, you know, just block like that where there is no justification, I don't think it will be advised, because the virus is said that it can be transmitted anytime, any day. So I can test you today, and the next tomorrow, I mean, you get
a pick it.
So what will happen? So we have to test 1,000 times. So I would say that GPHA, there's no plan to test all staff, but every person who is identified as a high-risk person or in contact with a confirmed case will definitely test you.
Okay.
Yes.
I would then take the opportunity to ask you about fumigation. Why are we fumigating places?
Correct.
If you think that even with testing individuals, you can test today and tomorrow you still pick it up. I would ask about fumigation. But Gabi is on the line from Pukwa. Say hello, Gabi. Hello, Gabi.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Gabi.
find that if the COVID passport and those passports that are ready to family born.
Sorry, Gabi, your line is pretty rough. If you can straighten it up for us, position yourself well.
Hello?
Yes, you are spot on now.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes, it's better.
I'm asking the transport, the long buses.
Yes.
Are they also obeying the social distance? The number of passengers they're supposed to pick, or they are still maintaining what they are using to be traveling?
Okay, you heard him and you deal with it.
Because it is always we be seeing that these are reducing, they are still using the same number, and people are sitting through to maybe they are very close. So what are they doing about it?
Okay.
And when you go there, you say they can't change. So what is the cost for those small vehicles in towns that are doing it? What about the big buses?
Okay.
Are we safe?
Okay.
Are we safe? Is the government looking for all this to show you that, okay, yes, this is going on, this we are doing this, we are doing. I've not finished. See there the transport, public transport, those private. We don't see no differences.
Okay, point well made, Gabi. Thank you. So, look, yes. he has a concern, doesn't he? And then also, if you can tie in that with my fumigation question.
That's right.
We're fumigating institutions. Do you think we should be fumigating institutions? Does that help in any way? Because you fumigate today, tomorrow if somebody shows up with this disease, whatever you've done, will it still be useful?
I understand you, Sammy. Indeed, fumigation is a means of infection control, as we know. And depending upon the disinfectants used or the chemicals used, some chemicals can last as long as 7 days.
Okay.
So indeed, it is advised that yes, regular periodic fumigation would help with appropriate chemicals. That indeed, especially chemicals that will last for long, when you use them, that means there are some we know they last for 7 days. So if you use it, you fumigate, and after 2-3 days, somebody who is an infected case comes in and coughs or sneezes in the environment, indeed, the chemical will still suppress it. People will be at less risk. So I think that it's good that we advise people, especially enclosed facilities. People who work in very enclosed areas, it's important that they do that. That's why GPHA, we said, we've done, and we send off, we started working in batches or in teams so that we reduce the number of staff at work at a point in time.
Okay.
But we still maintain the same productivity.
Okay.
So we did it well so that people, some will be working from home whilst others are on site. So all this to reduce the congestion.
Yeah.
That's why we even sent home national service personnel so that we reduce the numbers.
Yeah.
The same vein, our buses that carry our staff, we have reduced that so that there is distance and there's physical distancing in order again to minimize contacts.
Okay.
I will also say that I think somebody asked about whether there will be any layoff of staff.
Yeah.
Indeed, that is not for me to say, but there is nobody's going to lay off any staff from GPHA because of COVID. It's not, there's no connection on that. I can say that.
Regina,
I wanted to add to the fumigation that we do not wait for as long as before we do fumigation. Okay. For instance, if we do fumigation today and we open the clinic tomorrow, we do periodic, hourly carbolizing.
To make it
yes. So when the clients come to the OPD, we call them in batches to the OPD, and then as they go to the consulting room, we are done with that batch. We carbolize the whole OPD, the chairs, the doorknobs, the tables,
and this is regularly done?
Regularly. We are doing it hourly basis. So we do that around the clock, and then we add on the fumigation also.
Okay. Let me stick with you on the stigma part of the whole thing. For the nurses as well, do you face some of these problems?
For GPHA, we have I've not heard any of our nurses complaining about stigmatization.
Okay.
But in the news, I heard there was this nurse who boarded a car, and then the people in the car were just reacting in that way of discrimination. But what I want to tell the community or the people, the society, is that now with the era of COVID, no nurse is working with the apparel that he goes home with or he comes with. Yeah, so when we come to work, we come in a different dress. We come to change into our scrubs and wear all the protective clothing that we need to wear with. when we are closed for the day, we disinfect ourselves, remove those ones, and then we discard them safely.
Yeah.
We discard safely. So if somebody, a nurse, chooses to come to work in her white or green uniform, she didn't attend to the patient with that uniform. So when you see the nurse going home in that uniform, don't be scared of the person, please be assured. And the other thing I would say about stigmatization is about our clients who have recovered from the COVID infection. Yes, we are aiming at treating the clients to recover. So if they recover, then they have to go back to their communities. So if the community members are behaving this way and discriminating against them, what are they trying to tell the people? That they wish that when they contracted the disease, they died? Is that what the community is trying to say?
We want them back.
Then that
so
is what you are inferring. So if you shun the person and you isolate the person, then this can push the person into depression.
Yes.
And we know the dying consequences that depression comes along with.
Yeah. So
we want to appeal to the general public that by the grace of God, if somebody recovers from coronavirus infection, we are not saying you should go embracing the person, but accept the person cautiously. Put in all the distancing measures, the safety protocols that you need to push in, and then gradually integrate the person back into the society.
Thank you.
So let me quickly add that indeed, if the person was positive and became negative and tested twice and declared cured, the person is not a danger to anybody. Okay. The person is no more infectious. So we must know that.
Okay.
That indeed, a patient who has recovered from COVID is not infectious unless the person contracts the illness again.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So as we're ending, I would also want to seek from you, Gideon, what do you think can be done to continuously make you and others who are on the front line be this courageous and continue to serve?
Yeah, I think provision of PPEs is very, very key, and I'd like to urge the government and all stakeholders to ensure that all of my colleagues are rightly protected. In addition to looking at the scenario, the testing, now it's only Noguchi and KCCR and a few other peripheral laboratories that are doing the test. But when you look at the Western world, there are a lot of laboratories, they are testing it all over. So what can be done? There's a lab policy there that needs to be followed. We want to urge government to quickly put in place to ensure that we have more than Noguchi Institute in the country.
And the cases here.
Yes, more institutions at Noguchi
we hear
level.
a few ones are coming up, the vets and then the Tamale one, a few places.
But it should be more.
It should be more.
It
You
should
want
be
it
more,
to be more.
and proper infrastructure is put in place to
Nice.
make the laboratory very, very effective, because we see the key role that they are playing now, most especially in Noguchi and KCCR and the other peripherals. They are working overnight. And even right now, they are even using a technique now, which other countries who are not screening is doing now. They pool testing.
Okay.
Right. So we want to continue to encourage them as they go about their duties.
Okay. What would you also say finally to all nurses around the world, nurses in Ghana, nurses at GPHA, nurses wherever they are in all the institutions, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I want to say to my colleague nurses that they should remain resolute in the call of our vocation that we find ourselves in. We have been trained to give care to everybody, irrespective of a race, color, political or social status. We should continue in that regard, that we are pleading with our authorities, our employers, to provide us with the PPEs, so that no nurse will be said that refused to attend to a patient because he didn't get the necessary protection. We are also humans. We have families who depend on us, and we wouldn't want to contract diseases and conditions as consequence of we trying to give off help to other people. Yeah. So our employers, I know GPHA is doing well. We appreciate the authority for all that, but I'm speaking on behalf of our other colleagues that, as I said earlier
elsewhere.
Elsewhere. As I said earlier on, this is a great burden. It cannot be carried by the government alone. All other people who can support should come on board so that we give the necessary protection to the nurses so that they can stand this war front and win the fight against coronavirus. Thank you.
Good one. And Doctor,
yes,
I will take the last one from you, but do you foresee at any point in time in the video we saw a proposal, for instance, that there's a possibility of expanding your facility and all of that. Do you foresee at any point in time being overburdened by this case?
Yes, indeed, Sami. That is possible. As the numbers increase, and we know that the community transmission is really increasing, and as we conduct more tests, it will reveal more positive cases. And so if, for instance, we just spray touch wood, it shouldn't happen to us in GPHA. We know that one facility, one organization had as many as 533 being positive from one organization.
Yeah.
If we have such numbers in GPHA, where are we going to take them? We are praying that it never happens. That's why we are enforcing all the preventive measures that we are doing. So we are indeed, we even recently made a proposal to, again, the EU. I personally asked that we should look at building for a state-of-the-art innovative center dedicated for infectious diseases in the port. Okay. Because this might not be this certainly will not be the last pandemic we'll get in this world. Yeah. Another one will come. We don't know what will come next. Whether it's going to be less or, or worse than COVID-19 or not. So we must prepare ourselves. But having said that, I have to say that indeed, facility, as you say, you know that IMA is there, it's part of GPHA. Yeah. If there need be, we can always expand our services. But as we are in our clinic, you know that we are constrained by space and infrastructure constraints, so we have limitations. But we'll do our best to continue to take good care of our staff and other people. But in so saying, I want to appeal to all health workers once again, that indeed, we're doing a sacrificial job. Let us continue. But authorities, employers who have to provide what it takes for us to do our work well, they should continue to support us. Sure. And the GPHA management, I give thumbs up to GPHA management for all that they are doing for our staff, and I'm happy with my staff that we are all working to keep our ports safe. GPHA is a very big organization, and our ports must be safe, and that's what we're doing.
Michael has been on the line for too long. Let me pick him, and then that should be ending my calls. Hello, Michael.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Michael.
I just want to shout out to all the health workers, from the cleaner to the top, who are all in front of this fight. And big thanks go to GIDEON, who is my mentor up there, which I also find myself in. And thank all the things that they are doing for the nation as well.
Thank you very much, Michael. So that sums it. A lot of people are appreciative of the job that you are doing day in and day out. And we would always continue to pray and wish that you do a lot more for the country. Next week, let me just hint you though, next week we'll have the International Maritime Hospital in here. They've also been demonstrating and doing a lot of work on how you can prevent the disease. They've been educating, they've been everywhere, and that's a bigger facility, so they've got a lot in place. Listen to a few things that they've been doing, and then I'll let you know when what to expect from them next week.
It is important we sanitize our hands as often as we can.
Always remember to wash your hands before and after wearing your face mask.
The government akola asi pre jane let ki he duna dume ke do ya atini atie ohun
sneten wapom na se di aduane pa a be ma wahoden se de be ya obetimi abo ohun ban efri sa yare ni se yare mo awanu bi baye mu a enyini ho di amunmu ara
obowa ohumi a ensi so ohun ye hye anase omini mu ye oya obefre wayare sabia anase hospital no ma cheldia esese oye
ka ofe ni bi na ka foshi akasa ni wo fe wo fe ni hila ko akasa o here ona hila
COVID-19 hila na ni ebane e ya hunto shika wo fe ekomiye obanya wosa ne ke hila na na ejake mo fiamu ehia nya wo fia ekomi kuni watching COVID-19 now.
Every life in Ghana, to that extent, Africa must, and it's up to us all to join hands to prevent the spread of coronavirus.
So very important for all of us to join hands and prevent coronavirus. So, have you recorded any cases around your clinic though?
Yes, thank you, Sami. Yes, we have, indeed, we have. But you know, we don't test on our play. We only suspect, or we do contact tracing, and then we take the samples to Noguchi and they test. So yes, we've had positive people testing positive. Samples that we have taken, they've tested positive. We do have that. I think there are less than 10 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Less than 10?
Yeah, less than 10.
Okay, and this is for the whole Tema area?
For the whole Tema area.
People who come to your facility?
Come to us, yes.
Your facility is for the entire Tema? Everybody can access?
Yes, it's open to the general public.
Or only for port workers?
No, it's open to the general public. Anybody can walk to GPHA clinic and you have access to healthcare.
Okay, so Tema and everywhere.
That's right.
Okay, and you have less than 10 cases?
Yes, so the positive ones, yes. But we've tested a lot more.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we hope you don't get more cases.
No, we
hope you continue to test a lot more. International Port News next.
7 people died after an Aframax tanker undergoing maintenance at a shipyard in Indonesia caught fire on 11th May 2020. The Directorate General of Sea Transportation of the Indonesian Ministry of Transportation said the fire broke out on board the 105,100 deadweight tonnage Jack Leela, docked at the Belawan shipyard in Sumatra. It was reportedly preceded by several explosions on board the vessel. Local agencies managed to extinguish the fire in a joint effort later that day. However, thick smoke was hampering rescue and evacuation attempts. On 12th May, a police report revealed that there were 60 workers on site at the time of the incident, of which 22 sustained injuries and 7 were declared dead. The International Transport Workers Federation has informed that a Spanish-flagged LPG tanker is anchored in Manila Bay, the Philippines, without a rudder and a crew of 15 seafarers running low on supplies, electricity, and Wi-Fi. The ITF said that the 7,600 gross tonnage MV Celanova, owned by Global Gas SA from Madrid, Spain, has been abandoned by the ship owner, leaving the crew without pay for months. As informed, some of the Spanish and Caribbean crew have been on board since August, others since November. The tanker broke down in December and lost its rudder. It was told to anchor in Manila Bay shortly after. Philippines Port State Control detained the vessel on February 14 after authorities found it to be in breach of the International Labour Organization Maritime Labour Convention over unpaid wages following notification by the ITF. German shipping major Hapag-Lloyd felt a negative impact of higher bunker prices in the first quarter of this year as it reported lower earnings. In the first quarter of 2020, Hapag-Lloyd's bunker cost increased by $98 to $523 per ton as a result of the transition to low sulfur fuel oil. Consequently, the company's transport expenses rose by almost 10%. As explained, this had a negative impact on earnings, as did a devaluation of bunker inventories of around $64 million due to the rapid decline in crude oil prices that began at the end of the first quarter.
Okay, so my guests have been Gideon LAMPTEY. is a consultant medical laboratory scientist at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Also Regina Ifua Tideku as a nursing officer with the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, also a fellow of the West African College of Nursing. Thank you, gentlemen and lady. You've been doing wonderfully well, and we all appreciate you, the country, the port community, Tema, Greater Accra region. And Dr. Vitus Victor Anab BC, the General Manager, Health Services, leading all the activities. Doc, always appreciative of what you're doing for country as well.
Thank you. So thank you very much, Sami. And on behalf of my team, we thank Metro TV and your crew for having us. And indeed, I want to applaud my co-workers back at the clinic, at my department. I say thumbs up to all of them for all the good work they are doing, and I encourage them to continue to do. And that Port Authority, the nation Ghana, is indeed appreciative of all the work and sacrifices they are doing.
Indeed.
We should keep it up.
Indeed. So these were the representatives of the frontline health workers. Others, many of them are behind there doing a lot of good job, and we say congratulations to you, and we appreciate you. Continue to do that for country. See you same time next week.